So today I want to talk about the no data industry. And excuse me for saying the no data industry, I'm really talking about the German real estate industry. So if you're from somewhere else, you maybe don't share the same thought as I do, but let me talk about the German industry, the German real estate industry. Germany is the second biggest transaction market within the world, and there's almost no data available when it comes to transaction. And this is where I would like to talk about and how we are going to change it, and where also other countries having huge advantages compared to Germany. And this is also something from the Q&A I would like to hear from you on your thoughts, how you see it within your own countries. Maybe you do cross-border investments, and I would love to listen to your experience and hear about your thoughts. So this is actually the Brandenburger Gate in Berlin. And at the beginning, maybe some from the audience are as well from Germany, but I have questions. What do you think? Are the following words I'm presenting available as data points within the German real estate industry? So let's talk about footfall. Yes, footfall is publicly available. There are, for example, High Street, a corporation company of ours. They have self-counting machines in the high streets of Germany, counting the foot traffic, the footfall on an hourly basis. And you can check it online to see it. It's not the most valuable data point, but it's a good one. And also not publicly available. There's a lot of GPS coordinating, and this is over the mobile phones you can track. And there are also some other companies offering that kind of information. So information about footfall is public available. If we talk about asking rents and prices within Germany, these are available as well. And most of the countries, of course, within Europe offer them on the market platforms. So this is a data point which is available where you can work with, right? Then socioeconomic data, this is available as well, right? It's publicly available by the states or the countries. They're publishing on the monthly or on a yearly basis. So this is also where you can get information from. Contractual rents, now coming to the more important, more interesting data points. If you want to do a valuation, if you want to do a transaction, if you want to do leasing or financing and you need real rents, are contractual rents somewhere available, like in the UK, for example, where every commercial rent is published? In Germany, it's not. Talking about the property owner, for example, in the US, also public available. In Germany, it's not available. You can only get access to that data point if you have interest. And interest means if you really want to buy a property, and this needs to be asked by a notary. So you can just not say, I want to buy all properties, so I'm getting all the different property owners. This is not possible. And the purchase price, also way different in a lot of countries. In Germany, it's almost never published. If it's published, it's probably the biggest deal in the year or portfolio deal. So you know the price of the whole portfolio, but you never know the price of the single asset. So let's put it to that. And also the loan information, also in a lot of countries available, how much debt is on the property, also Germany not available. So saying it again, being the second biggest transaction market within the world and having almost no public data available, it's not easy to be a data company, a market data provider, and to be innovative on that, because to be innovative, you need data sources to work that data, right? The data science, most of us in the beginning, 3.5 years ago, they came to us and asked, how is it about the data points? Are there enough data points to work with? That was the biggest concern. And if we would have stick to that idea, only going to the public data points, it would have been a no, right? There's not enough data to work with. Two further sources, for example, we are also working with, and maybe someone from Belgium is also joining, are Lieferando. It's a takeaway group based in the Netherlands, and TripAdvisor. So what are we doing with these data sources? As a market data provider, our users are very much interested in the neighborhoods which are developing, where gentrification is taking place and starting. And we are not talking about for example, in Berlin, if you maybe know Berlin and say, all right, in the neighborhood of Kreuzberg or Mitte, even a taxi driver would tell you, yeah, gentrification is going on there. Gentrification starting means that we are on a very, very early stage, that we see only in data changing numbers, changing neighborhoods, and then we can tell our customers to go there, for example, project developer, to invest in these neighborhoods. How are we doing it? For example, on TripAdvisor, if we see new bars, new restaurants opening up in Germany, and we have certain profiles rating these bars, these restaurants, and we label these profiles as a hipster profile, we can see, this is one data point, that maybe gentrification starts. If we then also see increasing rents and some of the socioeconomic data, for example, that the population is becoming younger, we can tell our customers, maybe gentrification is starting here. It's a good time to buy property, to do development over there. Same with Lieferando. This is an example. It's a food delivery company where data points are working, and in other cities they don't work, right? For example, in Zurich, with the company we were used to work with, they checked out on where the sushi is getting delivered to. And in Zurich, you could see, all right, these are the neighborhoods actually, which are quite good. And within Berlin, you didn't really see a difference. So sushi was delivered everywhere. So it's not about the single data point. It's of course about a lot of different data points. So, but coming back to Germany, having not the most valuable data points available, we had to think about on how to change that, how to give our users actually the experience on receiving better data. But before coming to Germany, I would like to share some thoughts about different companies. Probably most of the players, you know, I'm just picking out 2 of these players within the US. But let me say first, the big challenge, and actually I don't like this frame, it's quite old. If data is the new oil, but it's actually currently pretty hard to mine, right? Because we're talking about data availability versus unavailability, and we've seen it now within Germany, how this is working. So most of the valuable data is unavailability. Then we see, of course, consistency and inconsistency within data points. This is something our data science team, of course, can work with. And then we see the data quality. It's one very important aspect. And this is also where most public data, for example, is not very good in quality. For example, the socioeconomic data. We have a partner and we do the data we can do best, and that's the real estate data by ourselves. And the data where we know where are other specialists, we go to them and do partnerships or buy the data. And this is regarding socioeconomic. We had a data provider in the first place, and we thought, all right, this is a good deal and the data is good. But then we came down and really checked the data. And this is one of the most things I would like to bring out also. Always ask and check the data behind it, because most of the time the data we are receiving or checking and even buying is not in a good quality shape. This is also about transparency. So we received the data and then we said, listen, there are some neighborhoods within Munich where the population is 80% in between 16 and 20 years old, which doesn't make sense. And then the data provider said, yeah, sorry, the states only deliver data to a certain point and the rest we are calculating by ourselves. So that was a learning 3 years ago that we said, all right, we don't want your calculations on how you break it down to the different neighborhoods. Just bring us really the data until the point where we can calculate it by ourselves so we know what's behind it. So data quality is a very important issue as well. So jumping to the US, 2 examples. Economy, for example, probably most of you will know, is a company where it's actually just sourcing all the data information about properties. So you can check on the platform all the information about every single property you want to check out. And this would be actually also great having that one in Germany. I think the whole market would be way different and really transparent, which it's not at the moment. And it's structuring public data sources actually somehow as we do, but they also have structured data sources, what we kind of do as well, but the data quality is way better. So they have access to almost 99% of all commercial real estate properties within the US. The screenshot of the product somehow is a little bit older, but maybe you should check it as well. It's very, very interesting because you really see the last purchase price, you see the loan behind it, you see owner, and this is something giving the market transparency. In Germany, they say quite some time, why don't you set up the market more transparent? And people are afraid of a transparent market. But I'm always saying, look to the more transparent market within Europe or the US or UK. What's happening? It's just happening that there are more deals, more valuation, more services are happening. That's it about valuation, about transparency. So I'm very much forward to really bring transparency into the market. Another company from the US is Comstack, which is actually a very good idea. I mean, it's also not new, the idea. It's a data for data model. So brokers, appraisers, and researchers delivering data in, which are they receiving from clients and from their deals. And for that, they are receiving the data for free. So that's very nice. And the asset managers and the owners and the transaction teams, they actually then have to pay for the data, which makes it, I think, as in many other industry, a very good business model. So having a look at that, then you can really also check it online. You can jump into the skyscrapers in different floors and really see what's the rent in the 60th floor, what are the tenant improvements, what are the options, so that you really can work with that data and that you really have strong comparables, let's call it that, and not just asking rents for a whole neighborhood, saying in this neighborhood you can get in between 20 and 30 euro per square meter. I mean, this is the range is just huge. How do you want to calculate a business plan or do your valuation if you just have asking rents like this? So these data is very, very good in terms of accuracy and in terms of quality and also consistency. So what did we do at the beginning? I mean, as a startup or like PropTech, we always frame ourselves as a young technology company. We were doing something what I always needed when I was working in the real estate industry. So before founding Realxdata, I was working 10 years in the real estate industry. I was doing transaction, evaluation, and portfolio management. And the biggest issue I had always when I did all these services, I needed, first of all, I needed market data. And this market data was kind of hard because I had to gather it from many, many different sources, from PDF documents, and that just took forever, right? And the second part was, I then had to crunch the rent rolls, which is now coming in one of the most important files for us. Then I had to crunch Excel rent rolls the other time. So actually at the end, I was doing 80 till 90% researching and crunching Excel, and I had 10% time to really evaluate the deal, to think about, all right, who's a good buyer, who's a good seller, who's the right bank to financing it, who's the right tenant for my property. And this is the founding idea of Realxdata, to really change that from coming away from doing crunching and researching all the time to really have the information on point. So in the first step, we set up the platform with all the broker reports. We have partnerships. Brokers are delivering, digital market reports. We have foot traffic from high street, but we have also other corporations with different data points. We have regulation information on our platform. We have socioeconomic data. We have deal news. And of course, we also have listing portals where we get information from to see how is the market developing, what direction is the market going to. But the most important actually, and the USP of our platform, of the Realxdata platform, is that we enable our user, our customers, to connect any kind of rent roll with our platform. We analyze it and standardize it, and then you have it you can access it over a business intelligence solution into that rent roll data. So we even have clients connecting a couple of thousands rent rolls a year, and they don't have to bring it in any other format. It's just connected with our platform, and we'll play it back in a standard format as you want to have the rent roll. For example, with banks, we are also having as customers, they are connecting all the rent rolls they are receiving. Back in the days, they had 30 to 40 analysts really analyzing these rent roll data, and we enable them to really analyze it over the platform and play it into their internal systems. And this is something how we are generating and gathering then the information we really know. By connecting the rent roll, we have the contractual rent. Most of the time, as we have a lot of investors also working with our platform, we receive the purchase prices. We have loan information with our customers from the banks, and we even receive the owner information. Of course, we're not able to share all that information with our clients and customers, but the customer can decide at the beginning in our contract, if you want to share the data anonymized and aggregated with all other clients. And so far, there are only really quite a few who don't want to do and share that kind of data. And most of them are coming to us after 1 year using the platform and then saying, hey, now we are ready to share the data. Please also give us access to the more valuable data. And this data point is really changing the German transaction market and the data information within Germany. Of course, at the beginning, we started in Germany and we were founded in 2016, December. Let's say we started in 2017 and we're still in Germany because it takes quite some time. Technology is definitely not as fast in a way most people think. If you want to give the market accurate and good market data, you really got to work with it and you need a lot of data, right? I mean, Germany is quite big and we don't only have, as most other countries, 1 or 2 investment centers. We have the big 7, we call it, within Germany. And then we have a lot of B cities, so smaller cities than the big 7, where a lot of transaction services and transactions are going on. So customers are seeking for that kind of information. So again, why should the user share the data? And this is something, of course, there are also other companies are out, and this is what I actually like also in the ecosystem of young technology companies that we work together. Even if we have competitors, we are working with our competitors, exchanging with our competitors, as the market is still big enough. And I think right now it's not about like getting the competitor out of the business, it's more about understanding the needs of customers more. So the idea is, and the goal is, to have a more data-driven real estate industry. And maybe if you joined a little bit later, I'm currently really talking about Germany. I know in different markets it's different. So having the goal as a data-driven real estate industry. We have the industry players, we have the public data sources, and the ecosystems of the PropTechs. And this is what more and more people are really realizing, that the equal importance is the same. So everybody knows, also the public hand or the industry players, they know they cannot do it by themselves, especially the real estate companies. I mean, their business is to do transaction, to do financing. It's not their business to do data science. A lot of companies hired them, but it's not enough to have 1 or 2 data science. At the moment, we're 35 people and pretty much growing even during COVID-19. And this is something also the companies are realizing, all right, we need the ecosystem of PropTechs. And at the same hand, we're talking to the state and the governments and the public authorities to also use our technology. Of course, not only our technology, also the technology of our competitors. So where we are heading, what is our journey? Now we're in most of data partnerships with the public authorities, with different real estate companies, and also with other young technology companies. And we're able to do intuitive analytics and descriptive data at the moment. Already, we're able to give more smart data out there and really start on working on prediction models, as we're now at a point where we gathered enough information within Germany, within the transaction market. And where we are heading is, of course, to more self-learning models and real-time forecasting. At the moment, and this is my opinion, this is not able in Germany. And a lot of other companies, also Geo5, for example, from Belgium, I think one of the stars within the ecosystem of PropTechs, went directly from Belgium to the US. And I think they had a pilot 2.5, 3 years ago also in Germany. And also they realized that the availability of data, that the data sources in Germany are just not enough. So first of all, thank you very much for your audience. And actually, if you have some questions, I would love to jump into the Q&A. And if any time is left, I'm also very happy to jump into our product.
Hi, Titus. Thank you for that. While we wait for the attendees to write some questions in the Q&A, I did have a question for you. So throughout your presentation, you mentioned a few things centering around the idea of the lack of transparency in the real estate market, real estate transactions. Why do you think there is such a push against becoming more transparent within the German real estate market?
I hope not too many Germans are listening. One of the issues, I think, is if we compare it to different industries, the real estate industry, every player actually made a lot of money within the last years, within the last 10 years. We are having somehow a saying, if you were a broker in the top 7s within the last 10 years and you didn't become a millionaire, you did something wrong, right? And since the data movement and technology became more and more into focus, I think they are just afraid of losing their old business model. And also some of the players are the players because they have the technology. They have not the technology, they have the data advantage because they just gathered all the data from the deals they had, for example, the brokers. So the brokers, they say, but we also know different brokers, that they are not very much interested in having a more transparent market because at the moment, they are the source of the data and everybody who wants to do a deal needs the broker. I think in a more transparent market, this doesn't have to change. I mean, really look into all the other different real estate markets. You don't see a difference within UK or the US or Netherlands. I mean, there are still brokers being very successful, but they are not only a data source, they are more interested or famous for the services they are offering. This is, I think, in Germany, they are really a little afraid of giving this advantage away.
Mm. Thank you for that. And then one other question on Realxdata. So you guys are primarily focused on the German market now. Do you have plans for expansion either throughout more of Europe?
Yeah, I mean, we just recently had a Swiss investor joining us, Swiss Immolab, and this was a very strategic investor for us because we didn't really have the advantage or the entrance to go to Switzerland, and they are very well connected within the Swiss market. So this is something we're evaluating and discussing also with other investments they did so far. So this is something we are looking at. Then we have a French investor, and we have a partnership with an American rating agency, and analyzing the French market for that. But pity is on COVID-19, which was hitting us on that part also quite hard. We set up that partnership in February and had planned a roadshow to go to the US, to France, and to the banks. And of course, since March, there were no appointments possible anymore. And this is now finally changing again. I'm a little bit afraid because we see the discussions within the news of the second wave. But yes, we are definitely focused and want to go out of Germany because, and that's what we see from our banks being customers, the rent roll issue, the different formats, the different structures are everywhere, even in the US, the same. They're all unstructured, takes a lot of people to analyze them and standardize them. And this is what we see actually worldwide. And this is why we see a bigger case than just being in Germany.
Perfect. Thank you. It doesn't look like any questions are coming in. We do have 5 minutes. If you want to do a quick demo within that 5 minutes time, that would be good.
Yeah, sure. I'm very happy. All right. What you see here now is the platform of Realxdata. I already logged in. Hold on. I'll switch it to English. And what you can do here, we always call it in a pitch at a customer, the most boring start screen, but it's actually where the technology is. Here is some customers, of course, using APIs, but here you can connect all kind and all different formats of rent rolls with our system. So you just drag and drop these files, and then you go to the dashboard. And that's the nice thing I did. It took me sometimes days for portfolios, at least hours for bigger offices and residential buildings. Then you have an analyzed portfolio, right? So you see within this portfolio, you have 10 assets, 280 residential units, rents, all these KPIs. You know, I don't have to go into detail on that. The nice thing is when you were done with Excel and you were at a pitch or you were discussing that portfolio, is it interesting? Does it fit in my fund or whatever? You weren't able really to be flexible, right? And this is something we offer over our BI, our customer, to really jump in here and say, okay, I'm only interested in Munich and Dresden, for example. And then you see, all right, I have 47 residential units, 2 assets. So that's the first part. As I have only 3 minutes left, I would like to jump actually more interesting into the map right away. And then you have all that market data where we make the market more transparent. And at the moment, this is a test portfolio. You just see all these numbers, right? 4 assets connected in Berlin, 1 in Dresden. And some of our customers have thousands of assets connected to the platform so far. So they can then just really jump into the market and gather all that market data they connected to the platform. So now we are seeing Berlin and the neighborhood Mitte. We see an average rent of 23 euros. We can, of course, zoom down to see the neighborhood a little bit more detailed. Now let's jump into this neighborhood down. I used to live there. 27 euros, they say, is the average rent. And that's what I call 27 euros. And this is the COVID-19 impact, right? Until March, the rents were rising. And this is the first time in 8 years that we are seeing declining rents. Then what we're checking as well is days online and days on market of the ads. So in that neighborhood, 35 days in office space is an average on market. This is almost nothing. But again, before crisis, and that's very interesting as well, we had about 22 days being ads online. And this is where you also see a change and where you're really gathering valuable information. This average, of course, is not enough. So you can really jump down into the single comparables and see, all right, if this dot is my office building, right? It's a test portfolio. My rent is 971. So I know I'm a little bit under rented in this market. And then you don't actually know, right, how the fit out is. The machine doesn't know, but you as a user. And then you can check, all right, is my rent more the 27 rent? Yeah, is it more fit out like this? Or is it more, let's say, like the 18 euros in here, which is not really an office building. It's like more, see, a residential building. So this is what you're gathering. You have the socioeconomic data, where you see to that neighborhood how big the population is, unemployment rates, so on and so on. We of course have point of interests, what I said before regarding also the information like TripAdvisor, where the gentrification is going on. So this is something we also show. As the time is running really, really fast, I'm very happy to anyone who's more interested, just contact me, and I'm very happy to give a demo. A demo is usually taking an hour almost. So that was 3 minutes. I think the fastest I've done so far.